Good morning, Heidi Foy here with Bullfrog Creatives. You are watching live the NFR Hangover. This honestly is one hangover that you would welcome. It doesn't feel near as bad, although by this late in the week, we start to feel bad and our jokes get worse and worse. So there is that. We're so happy to be joining you guys this morning. So happy that you can join us. Listen, you can watch this broadcast live on 3 different channels. You can watch it on the YouTube channel of Bullfrog Creatives. You can watch it on the NFR Hangover Facebook page, which is new this year. Yay! And then you can also watch on Bullfrog Creatives Facebook page. And listen, we are in a building process. It seems like we're getting bigger and bigger and a little bit better. Well, maybe not a little better, but we're here every year. So this is our 3rd season doing this. We're super excited. We always enjoy getting together every morning and BSing our way through the round before and just BSing our way through everything, really. We already got comments. Tony always looks like he has a hangover. Listen, we all feel like we have hangovers and we're not even there. So I can't imagine being in Vegas. If you guys like what you see, and you appreciate that we give our time and of our resources to do this, there's this little thing on Facebook called stars. So you can watch live, you can comment, you can actually give us stars. And what that is just a little bit of money. It's not a lot. 99 stars is 99 cents, but we will gladly buy a cup of coffee for each of us for that. So if you would, if you are so inclined, please do that. And if you're even more interested in partnering with us, then reach out to one of the three of us, Jim Boy Hash, Tony, or myself, and let's set up some kind of partnership or sponsorship. With that said, we do want to, I wasn't even ready. We do want to give a shout out to one of our partners this morning, and that is Williams Studio. We're so grateful to have them on board. They are actually in Vegas this year at Resorts World. You're going to want to swing by there. Mention that you watched or you saw them on Bullfrog Creatives and the NFR Hangover, and there might be a little discount in it for you. Okay, that's good. Let's kick it off. We will be right back. We'll get to our show. All right, we have our lovely co-hosts joining us now, Tony Branquinho and Jim Boy Hash. Good morning.
Good morning.
Listen, I resemble that remark, that we look like we have hangovers.
In my defense, I watched the rodeo last night, took notes, and then I couldn't sleep, so I watched Christmas Vacation not once but twice because it was played on a loop. So,
no.
You know what? Like Cousin Eddie said, you know what's full.
It's always full around here.
Yeah, well, good point. Good point.
We need muck boots at this point. Hey, I'm going to bring in our guest. You guys, we are so excited to have this gentleman join us this morning, Randy Schmutz, who is, joining us from Las Vegas. Also, PRCA announcer. He's announced the college finals. I'm pretty sure, Randy, were you in Casper the first couple of years too?
Actually, I'm the only announcer who's ever done I'm so dadgum old. I'm the only guy on the planet that's done it in Casper, in Rapid City, and in Bozeman. Yeah.
So
the cat's paw.
I do remember one year. So I was a contestant then, and I think we can all agree that most of the contestants at that age are pretty oblivious to anything that's happening outside of themselves. But I do remember that you were driving from Denver to Casper and you were blown over.
Actually, that was kind of a scary moment in my life. Amber and all 3 kids, that year we kind of decided to size down. We were in between motorhomes and we bought a slide-in camper. And we kind of were on the hurry to get out of town. And we actually spent the night in Longmont, Colorado, north of Denver, and got up early the next morning. And the whole family was still in the camper. And we came into Cheyenne, and the wind blows a little bit in Wyoming. And so we went under that first underpass there where the Flying J is, and we came out from under that underpass. The damn wind caught the camper, and it rocked it left and right. And the shackles. It was my bad. I opened hooks instead of closed hooks to chain this thing down. And unbelievably, they came loose, and the whole stinking camper came off the truck and tumbled down the bar ditch. I don't know how many times it flipped. It flipped upright. My 3-4-year-old daughter was outside the camper. Okay. The worst part of that little deal was when I opened the camper, I looked up and there was red all over the ceiling of the camper. We later found out it was ketchup out of the refrigerator.
Oh my gosh. So
we had to dig, which one was it, Amber? We had to dig our middle son out from under cabinets that it came off the wall. And my oldest son broke his collarbone. No, Connor did. Connor broke his collarbone. Anyway, on a serious note, the next day I had to leave the hospital, and they had to stay in the hospital at least one day. And I was leaving the hospital in this pickup that had the bed jerked off the side of it, no camper, no family. And I thought to myself, man, thank you, Lord, because this could be how it was going to be for the rest of my life. So he saved us all, so we were good.
Yeah, I do. I remember that happening. I feel like that's probably why you don't do the CNFR anymore. And I'm getting out of that state. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. It was the CNFR days was really cool. And like I said, I got to go to Bozeman. I think the first year was in 1994. And it was really cool. Of course, I'd heard about the college finals my whole life. And just to get to go do something at that stage in my career, I got my card in 1988. And so, you're talking a short 6 years later. And then I think I did it 2 years in a row, and then they skipped a year, and then it moved to Rapid City, I think, and then Casper.
Mm-hmm.
But man, that was a highlight of my life. I enjoyed showcasing those kids because you got to see them another year or two from that. You got to see them on the pro level, and it was pretty cool for me.
Yeah, very cool. Well, guys, what do you think about last night?
I think it was an electric round coming out of round number 7. I mean, round number 7 was, just we talked about it yesterday. It was kind of last night. I mean, from the crack of the gate in the bareback riding till the last bull rider out, Stetson Wright, it was just electric all the way through. And one of the best rounds they've had this year at the finals for sure. And a lot of drama is starting to unfold with 2 rounds left for those gold buckles. I mean, we saw it change in the barrel race last night with the projected world title race. So, I mean, I have to say, in the bareback riding, Jess Pope is a machine right now. I mean, just making hair fly every run or every ride. And I think R.C. Lanningham was watching our show, Jim Boy, because he did not like being called out on Pretty Woman last night because he gets a check on her.
Man, I called that wrong, didn't I?
Listen, I'm glad you did. Not that I'm glad you were wrong, but I'm glad you did because I feel like I may have slightly redeemed myself from my pro fantasy team.
Well,
we should talk about pro fantasy. I'm really upset at my bull rider for last night. My team we were batting 1,000. We had not won a dime till the bull riding. Then Kai Hamilton goes and splits around and gets us 20-some thousand and really hurt my chances for a clean sweep of no money won last night.
Listen, so let's do that. Let me get it added here. I'm super excited to announce that I am now in the top 18.
Yes.
I'll take that. And let's quickly add that the round 8 Pro Fantasy go-around winner was Mother Bucker, and that is Mr. Sean Wilkinson. So I don't say it very often, but that's my brother. He lives up in Oregon with his family. So now I have to get him something for Christmas. Luckily, it's just cinch stuff.
You might explain to our guest, Randy, you're number 18, and we have 21 in our league. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't have to say that, Jim Boy.
Hey, Jim Boy, we just keep telling her she's in the top 20. She's been in the top 20 the whole time. She never fell down to 21 in our league of 21.
I might have started there.
Yeah. What are you going to say, Randy?
I was going to say that's really good. At least you're in the bottom third.
Yeah, whatever. It's been terrible. I felt like Tony, I'm just going to go for last place. I feel like that's just going to be my goal because like Tony felt last night, like no money is better than a little bit.
Oh, well, and I was going through this morning, just looking at my rankings. My bareback rider's won 22,000. Poor Clayton Bigelow, I mean, has had heck. The last 2 nights he's gotten beat up. Tristan Martin's won 56,000. My steer wrestler, my team ropers, Patrick Smith and Tanner Tomlinson, they're winning the average. I mean, I got some chances in the average. They won over 90 or 80,000. They're 4-1 last night. Don't even get a check. But then Wyatt Casper, my saddle bronc rider, I thought I'm getting the Steelers coming in. He's won 11,000. He's had heck the last 2 nights. My calf roper, Riley Webb, takes it no time. He was winning second in the average, the third coming in. My barrel racer's only placed once, but she's winning second in the average. And then my bull rider's won 90,000. So it's not.
I will say
Yeah.
There's a lot of first timers in our league, me being one of them, but it really gives you, I mean, it's fun to watch the rodeo every year, but it's just you have a little bit more of a vested interest in it. So I've really enjoyed losing money.
So it's like we're rodeoing again, full time right there.
Totally. Just like that.
So I had somebody message me last night during the opening. He told me all the Skinny Jeans singers, he's pretty sure they're all lip syncing. And I guess last night when they didn't have a mic on the drums, he said that was a dead giveaway.
Oh.
So what you're saying, Jim Boy, is there's a shot that I could sing it at a concert to open the NFR. If we're lip singing, I got a shot.
It's like TikTok all over again.
Does it surprise anybody that we're lip syncing?
I mean, no, but I'm a little disappointed.
No. I will say this. Since this is my first time here, guys, is this pretty open? We can say anything we want to say, and at the risk of me getting there's no restrictions, no FCC guidelines, rules, or anything.
Okay, so since Luke Bryan is my least favorite entertainer, the fact that he did not lip sync and he did sing live and actually played the guitar, I thought was it gave him a few brownie points, but the Skinny Jeans are I just can't get past the Skinny Jeans. Now, I wasn't out on the bucking chutes last night when Joe Nichols sang, but I'm pretty certain he was live. The 2 nights before the drummer thing, Jim Boy, was absolutely off. I mean, good grief. Why even have a drummer on the stage? Good grief. So
you know,
I thought you just said Luke Branquinho was your least favorite person. I was like, yeah, I know a few people like that too, but
Tell us your involvement with production and openings there.
Well, I had the good fortune of in 1995, I was selected as the alternate announcer in Las Vegas. And at that time, what is that, 20-something years ago, there were 2 announcers and an alternate. And the alternate basically just went through the motions and went to all the meetings and was involved in all the aspects of production except for picking up a microphone. But that year also, that was still back when they were doing skid openings. I'm talking about, chuck wagons coming in the arena on fire and, buffalo chases and everything else. And so I was working for Jim Sutton Rodeos pretty full time almost. And he was awarded the contract to produce the openings. And he asked me if I'd help. And I said, absolutely. I ended up working with Sean Davis back and forth and sending scripts. In fact, I found the box the other day. My wife keeps everything. So she doesn't forget anything. And we found the scripts. These were typewritten on, in a Word document. And, Bob Tallman says this, Randy Corey says that. So I actually created the scripts, wrote every word that the announcers, said during those opening ceremonies, and then actually helped create. Jim had all the ideas, but I had to bring them to life. And I'm going to just say it out loud. I had a big hand in it, loved it. We practiced sometimes till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, but we pulled off some stuff there that was just unbelievable. And so I got to see the inside of that thing. There's so many people commenting every day about how they wish we would go away from the singers and back to some scripted openings to make it a little bit more entertaining. And I agree with that.
So we did, when it was in Texas, we got to see a little bit more of that.
Yep.
And I kind of thought that they were listening because it seemed like they were going to do that when we got back to Vegas last year, it seemed like, but people loved it. They loved it.
I don't have all the inside information, but I know that there's some arm twisting based on host hotels and sponsorships and some other stuff. But believe you me, there'd be a big, huge welcome for skit openings back to that deal. I don't know if Jim Boy remembers an iconic photo of bullfighters sitting around a table. It was bull poker. And we had the icons. I think Miles Hare, Rick Chapman, Dwayne Hargo was in that. I think there was 5 guys. And Jim had a big old school brindle that was a fighting bull, but he was a bluff, but he'd run over if you had a chance. And them guys all agreed to sit in that dang arena around that poker table. They all had tuxedos on. And we turned this bull out, and, man, he circled that table. And Dan Hubble has the most iconic photo from the angle. This bull looks like he's got his nose just over the shoulder of one of those guys and slobbering snot out of his nose about to run through this table. It's a cool deal. But we pulled off some cool things. We had the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders perform at the NFR one of those 2 years, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So, Randy, from that first time that we talked, our kind of original meeting at the CNFR, I had an opportunity to be the openings production manager for the CNFR for about 8 years. And so that was, I kind of felt like, so I'm from Casper also. So I kind of felt like from a local standpoint that it gave me an opportunity to bring something local to it as well. And so we always tried to, get our local like EMTs and just anything from all over the place. But it was fun. And I know that right towards the end of my time doing it, there was a lot of push towards getting away from that and doing more like what the NFR does. And I think that's a mistake. Yeah. I mean, I think that really being able to grab your audience with that emotion up front and kind of getting their attention and pulling them in right there is what keeps them for the rest of the show.
I agree. I really wish, and I don't know how you push that, but I really wish they would go back to, if they did half 50-50, 5 rounds of skid openings. Yeah. The Memorial Night is really, really done well. It always is. But if they did half of them, I think it would whet our appetite enough to where we weren't complaining about the singers.
Okay. Yeah. You don't necessarily have to tell us your stance, your opinion, but there has been quite a few people commenting they just soon see the breakaway in there as opposed to the openings we've been getting. How do you think that's a possibility on the next contract?
Oh boy, that's $1 million question. So I'm gonna have to be a little bit careful here because I'm a PRCA stock contractor. I love the breakaway roping. We do it at one of 6 of my PRCA rodeos. It's more about the money and able to raise the kind of money for added money at any rate. So I love the breakaway roping. Me personally, it would not disrupt the production of the NFR one damn bit. Okay, so I said it out loud. Will it ever be in the Thomas and Mack? I could probably make a pretty good wager and win that wager. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to tell you this one guy, but a very, very well-known talent, multiple world champion, now retired. Put it in perspective. The girls, man, he said it out loud. So I'm going to use his words, so don't throw me under the bus. The girls are whining about not being in the Thomas and Mack. Jim Boy, do you remember how long it took for the team ropers to get equal money at the NFR? The words, they deserve it, they deserve it. Well, now hang on a second. This is relatively new to pro rodeo, so maybe they don't deserve it yet. So I don't know. Would it add some element of entertainment? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Are they going to put it in the Thomas and Mack? Probably not.
Even for the team ropers to divide that up into 2 titles.
Yeah. Well, that too, and that should have happened a long time ago. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to jump here for just a moment so you understand my thought about rodeo. Team roping is a 2-contest event, period. Every rodeo I produce adds equal money in the team roping. And I will not be a stock contractor for a committee that does not commit to both heading and heeling equal money, because it's 2 entry fees, it's 2 horses, sometimes it's 2 rigs, and it's absolutely no argument that you don't have equal money in the team roping, period. So I just think that the breakaway roping, will it have its due? Yes. Will it be in this next contract turn? I'm going to say probably not.
Okay, so you've mentioned that you're a poor businessman because you got into the stock contracting business. Tell us a little bit about that.
My wife just heard you say that. So.
Do what?
My wife just heard you say that, so she's laughing over here.
Explain your move there. Why?
Passion? Yeah, it's funny. I became a PRCA member as an announcer in 1988, so I've been doing this for 35 seasons with a microphone. But along that road, my wife and I, unusually, were raising bulls back in the early 2000s, and we got into the bull deal. I was a bull rider, wanted to do that. I married a rancher's daughter, so it wasn't elite to get into the ranching part of it. And we really enjoyed that part of our life. We produced events, bull ridings, a few Western events, but we raised bulls, and I had a number of bulls purchased by stock contractors that came to the NFR, the PBR World Finals. Little side note, when the PBR created the American Bucking Bull Incorporated and started the ABBI bull competitions, the first ever crowned classic champion called Big Deal was a product of our breeding program. He was born on our place. We sold the bull to a customer up in Iowa. The bull ended up being in Oklahoma at Dillon and HD Pages. So we were stock contracting per se in the shadows behind the curtain. And I just have always loved production, and my announcing career led me to some great big events where production was high level, college finals, the American, and so forth. And I just love the production part of rodeo. And so far, Jim Boy, we bought the company in 2018. You're going to find this surprising. There's nothing I don't like about being a PRCA stock contractor. We have finally made a few strides. Like any company, you want to grow. Last year in 2022, we were awarded the primary stock contracting contract in Livingston, Montana, one of the largest 4th of July rodeos on the planet. Much to the surprise of a lot of veteran stock contractors, we got the nod to do it. We put it on this past year, 635 contestants, over 200 grand, and we were awarded a renewal in a multi-year contract. So to answer your question, at last count, I think I've been involved in 11 different finals and selected 57 different times to work those finals. And the glass ceiling, I just couldn't get through it there on a couple of little deals. And so it was kind of time to move on to do something that challenged me a little bit. Although I love announcing rodeos, and of course the American's been my crown jewel. I'm ready to be doing something else. And to be on the back of those yellow bucking chutes is quite a deal.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for sharing that.
And the company is Silver Creek Rodeo, right?
Yeah, Silver Creek Pro Rodeo. I got to give you a little quick history too. I think you may know this, but of course you know Matt Williams. Matt's from Kansas, and Matt had an amateur company for a long time, and he decided to go pro, and he purchased an existing card. I didn't learn this until after we bought the company. It was Jerome Robinson's Western Trails Rodeo card that we currently have, and Jerome was instrumental early on in my career as an announcer, and then I got to work with him for years and years and years with the PBR. So it's kind of cool to have that connection. So yeah, Silver Creek Pro Rodeo is our company.
So how does that work? Does the PRCA only have so many stock contractor cards?
I wish.
It's changed, right? It's changed.
It's been back and forth. Currently, to answer your question, Jim Boy could go tomorrow and borrow some money and send the PRCA about $50,000-$60,000, and a part of that's a bond that you have to place with the PRCA. And then the simple rules are you have to produce 5 or 6, I don't know the number, new rodeos. They have to be new rodeos brought into the association, And then you're on a probation period for 2 years. And after that, you're eligible as long as you meet the criteria. And if you want to get deep into this, I can tell you that as a PRCA stock contractor, to be compliant once you've earned your status, you have to produce 5 rodeos with a total of $25,000 aggregate total money over those 5 rodeos, added money, or 3 rodeos that add a total of over $50,000. Once you've done that, then you have to have your animals participate and be in the draw and available for competition 8 times. And then if you think they're worthy of coming here, you submit them for consideration. You pay $50 now. We have to pay an entry fee, Jim Boy. We have to pay an entry fee to get our animals considered. But $50 is pooled into a deal where they're having, considered. Stock contractor bonuses are paid out too. So anyway, did you know that?
So
I kind of forgot about that, but now you say that. That's the money you get, y'all. That's y'all's entry fee money for the finals.
So what you're saying is calculus and trigonometry are now playing a part in real life because of all these factors to try to be a stock contractor.
A little bit, but in respect to the system and the way it's set up, they did that 3 years ago to try to curb the bigger outfits from just submitting their entire list of bareback horses for consideration. So it was $100 a couple years ago, and so it did curb the numbers. And I thought that was a good move. Now the good news is this year the $50 was a one-time. You had to submit your animal with a $50 fee if it was 1 animal or 10, and then all those monies were pulled together and they've been paid back out each night in each event 4 deep, in addition to the Wrangler money. This year in 2022, if you've got the highest scored bareback horse, you get $750 from Wrangler and $500 from the PRCA stock contractor pool. So that's $1,250 in addition to the monies that we were paid for the animal to be here. So, but it's a big process. Someone said to me, well, how many did you get to the NFR? I said, I have 1 bull. Oh, really? I said, hey, one's better than none, and one gets you all the same perks that everybody gets if they had 15 here. So it's just a bigger check, but we're just tickled to be a part of it.
And that bull's out once already? You haven't had your second trip yet?
No, unfortunately, my little bull came out here and he bucked Jared Parsonage off in the 4th round on Sunday, but that was not his trip. He's usually right in the door and right in the gate there, and he left out of there and he jumped through. I mean, he bucked, but it wasn't the kind of trip you wanted to have, and so unfortunately he won't get used again. But that's also the great thing about our industry. We come out here, and if they're sound and on 4 legs and healthy when they get off the trailer, we get paid on Tuesday before we start. And whether they use them or not, we get to keep that money. I've not seen a bull, unless something gets crippled, I've not seen an animal not get out once. The good ones are going to get out twice. And so we were very fortunate to have gotten out once. But Moneybags said, I'm going to the other end. And so he did buck Jared off, and he bucked well, but it wasn't that kind of trip these guys have out here. Me personally, I want them to ride them, be 95 points every time, get a check on them every time. I hate when a rough stock guy, bareback bronc, or a bull rider bucks off an animal, because the objective is to be successful.
Yeah.
Well, they have their own mind. It's a fickle deal.
Yeah.
Man, speaking of rough stock and Randy, that behind the scenes knowledge is great for not only myself but for our viewer. Thank you very, very much. I mean, it sounds like you've had your hands full out there in Vegas.
Yes, it's been we always, we come out here and camp out and live for 2 weeks. My wife Amber is a very integral part of the Benny Binion Bucking Horse and Bull Sale. In fact, she's been hired as that sale management. She's kind of the head lady in charge, and she has been now for 9 years. She works 12 months out of the year for the PRCA stock contractors who produce the sale. And so we come out here this year. We got here on Saturday, and she begins her week on Monday. The sale's on Thursday and Friday. And then lots of little things in between that we get to do being a part of this deal. And it's funny too. She's been out here since 1985. She came a couple years early, and then she competed as Miss Rodeo Montana for the Miss Radio America title and was runner-up to that. And then she came back the next year and worked for the NFRC in some administrative roles there. And her brother was here 10 times in the bronc riding, Ryan Mapston. I came in 1988 as a first-year announcer, was overwhelmed with this thing. And in 1995, 7 years later, I was the alternate out here. So we've had a role out here for a long time, and it's been a very cool deal. And to Jimbo's question, the stock contracting deal is just going to perpetuate my ability to stay involved for the next 25 years. So I can't quit.
All right. Well, let's get talking about the rodeo. I know it was good team roping and great bronc riding. I didn't make a lot of notes because I knew Tony and an announcer would be on here today. So I didn't make too many notes.
Before we do, let's take our halfway through break. I do wanted to give a shout out to Cinch Jeans. We have a great partnership with them on Bullfrog Creatives and also on the NFR Hangover. So we want to give them a shout out, supporting their clothing line. They have a really hard job making us look good, but I think they do pretty good. And then also one more shout out. We want to give a shout out to CeeLo Cinches. CeeLo Cinches is based out of South Dakota, and they make handmade mohair cinches and breast collars. So if you are trying to figure out what to get that person in your life that enjoys to ride horses or is in the Western world, this might be a good opportunity. You can still have some, I believe you can still reach out and potentially get it back for Christmas. So there you go. We appreciate all the partnerships that we have. So we want to make sure we get them some recognition. All right, Tony, take it away.
Well, like I say, bareback riding last night, Jeff Pope is just still on fire. He split second, third, and fourth in the round. He was 87. Cole Franks, Jess Pope, and RC Lanningham. Jim Boy's pick to not do well last night was RC, and RC proved him wrong. But Leightonberry wins around 88 points on Not So Foxy. Tanner Ross, he wins fifth. He's 85. And then Tilden Hooper, 83, gets the last check in the go-round. World title, it's Jess Pope's. I mean, he keeps doing what he's doing. He keeps just marking them out and just raking their necks. He's going to walk away with the gold buckle. But here's a cool thing also. He's going for his third average title in a row. He's won the last two. He won it in Arlington. He won it in Vegas last year. And now he's going, I mean, that's got to be some kind of record itself right there.
Listen, Jimbo, your horse looked good last night. I suppose you can't call it yours anymore, but nonetheless.
Nah,
your former horse.
If she wouldn't get to that fence over there so quick, and I don't know, they take her out of the first or the second chute, and she gets it. But I almost think maybe try her out of the fourth chute. They did put her out of a right-hand delivery the other side at Houston and San Antonio, I think, and I thought she looked really, really good. That's their deal to do. I'm just dumb, fat rodeo coach in Kansas, so
you're just along for the ride now.
Do what?
I said you're just along for the ride now.
Yeah.
Well, she looked good.
I mean, in the average in that bareback riding, Jess Pope's got a 14-point lead over RC and Cole Franks, who are splitting second right now.
I mean, needing RC to buck off because Cole Franks is right there with him in the average, and Cole's on my fantasy team, so I needed.
Yeah, they're splitting second, and they're 8 points ahead. 8 points ahead of Casey Field. Jimbo,
I hate to wish anybody bad. I just need my guy to do good.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't even want to talk about pro fantasy bareback rider, and then steer wrestling. The Mississippi Mauler, Will Loomis, splits around with Tyler Wags' pack last night. Wags needed this to stay in the hunt for the world title, but they're projecting Will Loomis as your winner moving forward for the world title. But last night's go round, let me go back to it here. Will Loomis, 3 and 6, splits it with Wags' pack. They're sitting third and fourth, respectively, in the average. Kyle Irwin, he's winning the average, 36.80 on 8. But go-around win last night, like I say, it was Big Will and Wags. And see, Wags is trying to do something that's very rarely done in the steer wrestling and go back-to-back. He's got 3 gold buckles already, but he's trying to go back-to-back. The last one to do it was Luke, and I think 11 and 12. Before that was Oak Berry in the 90s. So the steer wrestling is so tightly contested, and those guys are so good, it's hard for a guy to go back-to-back. And Wags was looking to do it this year, and right now he's going to have to do it in the go rounds and try to chase down Big Will. So, but 3-6, 3-6, 4-1, 4-2, 4-2, 4-3, 4-3, 4-3. If you were 4-3 last night, I think you get 2 peanut M&Ms and a cup of coffee, because that's how many guys split it right there. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Randy, I was going to tell you before we started that if you want to get a word in edgewise, like you just got to go.
I'm an announcer that likes to listen too. So I would like to make a note about Jim talking about his horse, and he may know this already, that shoot position is very critical in the horse riding here. And a lot of folks don't know this. I'm looking this up. I got to get it on my phone here. I actually have the absolute arena measurements for the NFR arena. The arena is only 96 feet wide, and it's 142 and 6 inches. You can't leave out the 6 inches from the tip of the preferred rope and shoot to the out gate. But going back, and that's usually the width of an arena, and that's how long the arena. That arena is small. And so 96 feet from chute 1 to that other right-hand delivery wall. And some of these horses do have some issues there, and it hinders some of the better horses. So it's tough.
So just give me a comparison, do you guys know the size of the arena? Know the size of the arena for the finals, for the college finals?
I don't. It's bigger than the Thomas and Mack. I know that.
I think it seems wider.
Yeah.
There's definitely more room from the front, the number 1 chute at Casper, because you have the walk-through gate and then the big gate.
Yeah.
They could make a change. They had another panel in there, and they made a change where they could add another buck and chute in there a few years ago, which helped with production of things. But even with that front chute, that's a pretty good gate that we bring pickups through to get in and out of there. So you have, I'm guessing, at least 20 feet from the front of the number 1 chute to the fence over there, the actual fence. So I'm going to guess in Vegas you don't have 20 feet, but it's a tough pin.
My husband swung by the office to see me and has body parts stuck to the window of the door.
Wow. Okay. I thought he's bringing you coffee or flowers or something.
Wow. She has Las Vegas Entertainment.
Yes, right here in Casper.
All right, Casper's 170 by 100 are close. Yeah, that's what your dad says. Hey, but like Randy's saying, and Jim Boy, the dimensions of that arena are tough. Some of those horses that are there, bulls, different arena setups fit their style. I mean, you see it in the time events, rope horses, barrel horses, one of those cowgirls may qualify on a horse that really likes outdoor pins and won a lot of her money, and it's hard for those horses to run inside. So that we've talked about it. The NFR is Las Vegas. Las Vegas is the NFR. Thomas and Mack, you feel the excitement, the energy from that crowd, but sometimes that venue is not conducive for the stock that is there, or for the animals there. So.
Well, and I think knowing that specific size, it definitely puts it in perspective. If you're watching the feed, you can hear, like, Janie talks about that, whose horse is it that's like 17 hands tall, how great he runs in that pin. Putting it in perspective, that's like a Barbie size arena compared to some of these outdoor arenas. So
of course, that big, that's like 3 strides in between barrels.
Yes, that's a hard pin. Can be a hard pin to make that transition to.
I'm sure you guys have probably talked about this in your previous shows, but most, if not all, these contestants, especially timed event contestants, actually set up a dimension size arena at home. I had the good fortune of helping produce Charlie Crawford's American Military Celebration team roping, and we called it the NFR Preview. I did it 2 out of the last 3 years. They moved the dates on me last year. We couldn't do it. And we literally had to construct. That's why I have those dimensions. We had to create an arena the size of the NFR because those guys wanted to rope 5 go-arounds, and it was pretty cool. I've had the good fortune of watching some very notable contestants in Stephenville set up these practice pens 3 weeks before the NFR and make those runs in that same arena. Team roping is the most probably indicative of that, but the rest of them, barrel racers, I'll guarantee you, they've run that 17-hand horse in a 96 by 142 foot arena before they got here.
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, it's not the first time any of these contestants are running it. I know a lot of team ropers down here in Stephenville, out in California. And the barrel races, they're setting up these arenas to give as close to the field as they can. But it's like you said, we could set the arena dimensions up, but then you put that crowd and the lighting and the enclosure of. I mean, I can set up the NFR dimensions in my arena right here, but then you add that crowd being inside, it's just going to change it up for those animals a lot. Speaking of events.
Well, one more note on the horses, and I think all you guys would agree, and the contractors did too. The horses and bulls, mostly horses. Bulls aren't really affected by the size of this arena, but at Arlington, the horses were every night because they had room and they were freer and they bucked harder.
Yeah.
And they just, some of them don't buck in this enclosed, and that's the NFR. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just how it happens.
Yeah.
Some of them are better there than other places.
Absolutely.
Like I say, it fits their style or their mentality. Speaking of that arena setting things up to be different, what about the team roping last night? Like the team ropers have shown up a couple of rounds where it's just from the first team out to the end, it's just electric. Last night, if you're 4-1 and you're trying to get in the world title hunt to give yourself a legitimate shot, and that is what Tanner Tomlinson and Patrick Smith are trying to do, you're 4-1, you don't win a check last night. But it was our man, Coleman Proctor, who was on the show before the 5th round, wins the 5th round. He comes back. He's had a couple rounds where it just didn't go as planned. And then last night, fastest run of the NFR, the team opened 3-5 with Logan Medlin. Dustin Egaskiza and Travis Graves have been sub 4 seconds twice and not won the round. They were 3-8. Cody Snow, Wesley Thorpe split 3rd and 4th with Junior Dees and Levi Lord. Caleb Driggers and Junior Negata, first team out, haven't had those great finals. They're 4 flat, come out, we're going to blitz one, and they win 5th. And then Clay Try and Jade Corkill, or they split 5th and 6th with 4 flat. So a pretty electric round in the team roping last night. Average-wise, it's Tanner and Patrick. They're a steer up on everybody with 2 rounds left. They're 45-10 on 8. But then they were having some help from other teams that were ahead of Caleb and Junior for the world title, giving them an outside shot for the world. Well, that's fallen to the wayside because even being down a steer, they're winning 2nd in the average, and that's going to pay them a lot. They're still projecting to win the world, Caleb and Junior, and I don't see them backing off. 4 seconds might have been the longest run that they're going to have over the next, 3 or the last 3 rounds starting last night. But there's only, like I say, Tanner and Patrick have all their steers caught. Caleb and Junior, and then the minor boys have 7. And then 4th, 5th, and 6th, 7th, and 8th are all 2 steers down. So team roping, like I say, was electric last night, just like all the events from top to bottom. It was outstanding team roping. Proud to say I'm a team roper after last night's round.
There's some questions about Clay Smith's fine for harassment that was on that deal, and somebody said this morning he sent a video to the higher ups, and that's what the harassment fine was, I guess. So
we want to dig into that.
Oh, whatever. I'm gonna say if he could have probably sent the video, and maybe it was the tone of the language along with it.
Yeah.
I didn't hear any insight on. I think there was a lot of. It had to do with the tone because it was a hefty fine, for first offense. We go back to this thing, and everybody wants to compare us to the other major league sports, or whatever. We can't do that, guys. We're held to a higher standard. But at the end of the day, I wanted to reference a little bit about instant replay. Guys, we got millions of dollars up for grabs here. It's way past time, and they all want to say, I tell you, it'll take too long. We do not have to stop the rodeo to have a review. We can do that in the back room in the video, and we can look at it, and we can change the call, and we can call it not a crossfire or whatever. We don't have to stop the rodeo for it. And with this kind of money up for grabs and on some of these kind of judgmental calls, mark out and crossfire, come on, people. We're all human beings. We make mistakes. Let's be able to reconcile that mistake so it doesn't cost the guys money that they could have, should have, would have earned. But that's my take. I think we ought to have instant replay at the NFR.
I don't think Jim Boy's ever made a mistake.
No.
It's the only human I know has never made a mistake.
When they had the Cinch rodeo over at the Orleans, there was two different calls that performance. One was a spur out, a mark out deal with Wade, and the other one was it involved Joe Beaver. I don't remember if it was crossfire or broken barrier or something. I don't know, but they rectified both of them, got it right, and it didn't take that long to do it. And they stopped right there like they would at a PBR and did it right there. I never forget. I've been to one PBR performance, went to Pueblo one night, and there's one of them foreign guys. I don't know what they speak, Portuguese or whatever. I don't know. Randy, you could probably say. It was funny because Flint Rasmussen, he's like, hey, come here. You gotta. He goes, I don't remember. It was funny because he's like, you no comprende. Like, you? Yeah, hey.
Oh.
I would agree with you, Randy. I think once we get to this level and this amount of money now, I mean, it's a lot of money to just. So we do have a question. Do you think it's because they don't want the judges to be proved wrong? And I don't think so. I think everybody's just so focused on time and that production aspect that they're not really. They just haven't let themselves go there. And I will say that this industry in particular and the Western agriculture world is really, really strong in this is how we've always done it. And
we're steeped in tradition and we're but we're also
having
it's
that
hard.
growth mindset is where like this is how we get better. And so if we can have a little bit more of a growth mindset to see that there are some opportunities to maybe do some new things that aren't going to take away from the tradition, Tony, that you're talking about, from the way we've always done it. I think there's some room there.
But that's it. I mean, what's one thing that's great about our industry and our sport is, boy, it's tradition based, and we love our tradition. But you can have your roots and your tradition, but it doesn't mean you can't be forward thinking and look at what can better to the sport and better your association for the future and for your contestants. So
yeah.
Hey,
yeah, for sure.
Speaking about contestants, what about that saddle bronc riding last night? Stetson Wright goes 90.5 points, but that was one of the most fired up interviews I've ever seen Stetson Wright give afterwards with Janie. And
yes,
I was impressed. I don't know the backstory, but man, he made a heck of a ride, 90.5 on Hell Bowl. Zeke Thurston wins second, 89.5. Lefty Holman at 88. Dawson Hay, again, I mean, cash and checks, 88 points for fourth. Chase Brooks and Logan Hay split fifth and sixth, 87. But that was the most fired up I've seen any Wright in an interview.
Well, I asked the crew at my house. They said that was pretty matter of fact, wasn't it? And Jayton says, "Well, I think he's been catching some heat on TikTok. I think there's been some people saying they're kind of gifting him on some bull rides or something, and so I think that's where that might have come from."
So I looked. Of course, I don't know what the heck I'm looking for. I need your kid to show me how to use this TikTok business. And I couldn't really find anything. I mean, there's a lot of people that are, giving him kudos. So I couldn't find it. But even my husband was like, man, that was weird. That's not really who he is or who he has portrayed himself to be. And I think hopefully it doesn't bite him in the butt, but I know I got some comments like, man, that was really out of character. What's going on with him? But knowing now that there was someone in particular that he was talking to, that kind of puts it in perspective, but no less. I think Tony might have lost his connection. It'd
be hard and a lot of them contestants, like when I was out there with Emily Beisel, she was told by some other girls, put your phone away. Don't get on social media. Just stay away from it.
Don't even look.
Have someone else handling stuff for you. Like, just hand your phone to someone else. Let them handle all your texts, phone calls. Don't even look at social media, because you need to stay positive. And if anybody's bashing you, it's not going to help your mental game.
Yes.
That's actually in today's era, and even more so in 2022. Man, that's a heck of an idea, and I really wish that would happen more so. Here's the problem with social media. I love it. I used to call it my newspaper. I'd get up in the morning and take a look and see who's doing what. Unfortunately, who passed away or who's sick or needs some help, or whatever. But now anymore, it's just bash, 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 and then bash. And I tell you, it gets frustrating even as a fan to see a lot of this CRAP crap. It's just crap. It's tough to swallow. And it's got to affect some of these guys. I've walked in the bronc riding locker room a couple times this week, and they're all pretty good spirits over there, and they all say hello, how you doing, whatever. But man, it's got to be tough to deal with all that outside influence too.
For sure. I mean, we talked about it. I'm trying to pay my kids off so they don't even create a social media account. Like, my dollar amount's pretty low, but they don't know yet, but there's room for negotiation. But I just don't, there's a whole slew of things that I don't want to have to deal with there. Tony's back. Sorry.
Okay, Chris Berman, where were we at?
Hey, I'm back.
So
Sorry.
Also, I will note the time. We're coming up on the end, so we might have to do some highlights.
Hey, I'm back. I don't know what happened. My Wi-Fi, I don't know. I was gone for a minute. I'm sorry. I thought Heidi might have just kicked me off. I got a worse cam with the computer. What did I miss?
We're talking about the steer open now, the bull riding. We handle everything before the bull ride. We're on the steer open.
The steer open, yeah. It was really good down there in Kansas. They did a great job putting it on back in November. I think
he can just pick up. It doesn't even matter.
And Scott Snedeker didn't win the world this year, but he's going to come back next year looking for his next gold buckle. Taylor Santos from California had a good showing at his second steer open.
Tony.
I know he's joking, but he threw me a quick ball. I'm like Aaron Judge.
You just picked up like you didn't even miss a beat.
Well, yeah.
How do you do that? How do you do that finger thing to shut Tony up? I would like to make one comment, since I'm only going to be on here today on the judging. We get these social media folks all judging these events. I'm going to say this, and I mean this emphatically. There are 4 judges in 4 different locations looking at 4 different angles from 4 different perspectives, and they all have an opinion, and their opinion is either right or wrong, yes or no, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. And we get one angle of the replay that everybody gets to watch over and over and over and over again. And I think it's absolutely, totally unfair to criticize the top judges that are here when they are doing their job based on one agenda, try to get it right. And I hate that. But this deal with arguing about the judges or this or they're favoring that. The one thing I do know that they do not do, the judges do not get in a room and say, okay, who's got the shortest pencil and the longest pencil? Who are we going to whip today? They do not do that. So there's my piece.
Randy, it's because of this association that was created this year right here. We got to get it on there.
Oh, great. All right. As long as we charge them $1,000 membership, then that'd be great.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, so you guys talk about tie down roping, barrels, any of that?
You can do tie down roping.
Oh, I only got one computer now. But no, tie down roping last night. Go around winner. Let me go back to it here. I got to find it. Sorry.
Caleb Schmidt won the round. Corey Solomon was second. No, that's the average.
I was going to say Hunter Heron 7-2. Zach Youngblood 7-6. Tough Cooper finally gets a check. Poor Tough has just had a tough finals. So that was good. I was excited about that, for Tough. And did I lose you guys? I think I did.
Nope, we're here. You're good.
I don't know what's going on.
We're just waiting in awe.
I don't know. My
You
computer's
need to talk.
my Wi-Fi.
See,
Everything.
you lost your computer. You lost your other computer, so now you have no stats to give us.
He's
Listen,
flying
that's
blind.
okay.
Hey, no, but the average Caleb Schmidt is running away with the average right now. He is, where's he at? I mean, I think he's like 8 seconds ahead of Corey Solomon.
64 on 8.
The world. Shad Mayfield, he placed last night. He was 8-6. But it's his Caleb Schmidt. It's unfolding like it's unfolded the last, I forget how many years, with the tie down open with him. He just shows up there, shows up at the finals, and just plugs away and just keeps winning money. So, and now let's go to the barrel race.
Highlights. Listen, the average changed. I'm trying to keep us on track because I have my doctor's appointment. So.
Let that interfere with a great time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can have a great time without me, I guess.
The average race in the barrel racing, it changed last night. Going into last night, we were projecting, Wenda Johnson is the world champion. Just that's projections. Of course, it's all projections. She knocks the barrel down last night. It flipped those projections upside down. Now they're projecting Jordan Briggs as the world title winner and Lisa behind her. 2 rounds left. There's no telling. It's anybody's ball game. Those horses they're getting tight. Like I say, and how do you can't safety up? Wenda's not trying to hit a barrel, but those horses, that was their 8th run last night. They're diving into those barrels, not diving in, but they're anticipating it. It's tight in there. They're anticipating it. And so, like I say, man, it's just kind of sit back, see how it all plays out at this point, in my opinion. So
I will say, I was happy to see Lisa pick up like nothing even happened, which I would expect nothing less from her. And with that average change, man, I'm still rooting her on. And I do have Emily in the pro fantasy, so I'm still rooting her on also.
Well,
but
Liza bombs are working. Last night, I mean, and we want to talk about a fast round. You're at 13:58 and you split 6th and 7th. Leslie Smilejo, 13:41, wins 29,000. Emily again clocks that. I mean, Chongo is a beast. He just eats them up there.
So let's talk about this. She doesn't really hustle him in between the barrels. That dude just goes.
He's just fast.
I've seen a picture of her on her page, and she was up going around a barrel, and it looks like she's posting up like a bull rider with him. I was going to make a comment. You should go teach a bull ride and teach them how to post up. And they're like, well, maybe she's just getting thrown forward.
Yeah. I don't think that's on purpose.
I got a comment though. I did see Bronk Rumford in the alley back there last night, like he was lining them up.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't generally see him back there. I didn't know if maybe the Central Plains region barrel racers told everybody how good Bronk is about getting barrel racers up there. And there's a backstory there. There's been some turnouts, some fines at his college rodeo, and so it's kind of funny. But yeah, Bronk will get them barrel racers in there.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, and then bull riding, and it was my guy Kai Hamilton splits the first guy out, and once again, I'm thinking they're not going to score it because he's just making it look easy.
Yeah.
And then 90, and I mean, you'd have thought I actually rode the bull for 90. I jumped up, hooping and hollering. Was a little disappointed, like I said, because my pro fans team actually got money now, so I was going for the clean sweep and no money. And then you're sitting there watching that round, and there's some good rides. Guys are placing, and then Stetson, and he made not one but two that I saw, if not more, great recoveries, and just, I mean, and opens up, trying to spur, gets back in the middle of that bull. They're both 90. What I loved about that interview is you could genuinely see he's excited to be getting on the stage at the South Point with his best friend. It's not a blood relative. On a side note, and I texted Jimbo and Heidi last night, my daughter Kylie's 15,
She's in love.
Oh, yeah, he's a bull rider. He's cute. He's from Australia. Oh, my God, his accent. And then she comes, well, I can't sleep last night. I'm watching Vegas Vacation. She goes, it's like 1 a.m. She and her friend are up in the room talking, yada, yada, yada. They're still sleeping now. She goes, Dad, you know Kai's only 22. I was like, go to bed and
No,
go to bed.
no way.
I don't know. And she goes, well, you're good friends with CJ. He can introduce me. I'm like,
Oh,
now. Doctor, not lawyer, but doctor, rocket scientist, Elon Musk, somebody, but not a bull rider.
not a cowboy.
Yeah, not a cowboy. But
what's worse? Could you imagine if you knew Salsa that Janie Johnson married? I'd hate to have been Clint Johnson when Janie brings Salsa home to meet Dad.
Well, I have to remind my daughter, you know what? There's still a 400-pound man caged up inside me when you bring guys around. Just letting you know. So,
hey, Heidi, I'm sorry. I know Heidi's needing to go, so I wanted to make sure. I came up with a drinking game, or
good.
If you're at me, maybe I need to make it a push-up game. But for the next 2 nights, every time Joe Beaver says, blow up your skirt, you got to take a drink. Or when he says you're late, he's late, you got to take a drink. Anytime Tom Newen says, there you go, you got to take a drink or push up. Or anytime anyone says average.
Average?
Oh, average is like it's
That's
going.
2 nights. That's your drinking game.
Downhill in a hurry.
So, but speaking of average, Stetson Wright is now at $809,486.91 for the year right now. He's got a chance in the go rounds. If he wins both rounds in both events for another $115,000 in the go rounds, and where he's sitting in the bull riding average first, and he's splitting, I think, 5th or 6th and 7th in the saddle bronc is another $15,000. He's got $89,000 he can win in average money. He's got a possible $205,198 payday sitting there right now if he doesn't move up in the average of saddle bronc. That would put him over $1 million in earnings for a year in the PRCA. Wow. That right there, mind-blowing, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Super cool. A quick question, Jim Boy. So, do you like the word average or not?
Yeah.
So, average is a good thing, not aggregate.
Well,
I'm just asking.
I'm just old school. I mean, I would, like we talked about yesterday, I'd rather win second every time than win first every 5th time or so.
Well, my deal, I get reprimanded as an announcer for using the word aggregate instead of average because I don't like to describe our sport as average, period. It's not average. It's an aggregate. It's a total.
I always figured aggregate was if you was in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they say aggregate, okay, we're talking about Calgary.
Yeah. Anyway, just curious.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense there, Randy. I get that. And truly, it's not an average.
You know as well as I do, the majority of our guys, their grammar is piss poor anyhow. I mean, they don't know what it means.
You mean grammar?
Yeah.
Their grammar is poor.
Oh.
Yeah.
Y'all need to do one of these NFR hangovers about 11 p.m. at night after we've actually been in the beer.
Oh, that would be ugly, but that would be fun.
Hey, the first one of our season this year when I was still in Vegas.
It was the NFR Hangover, the actual host. It was hungover.
Yeah. He represented.
Someone sent me a message that said, "I don't even think you're hungover. I think you're still drunk."
Yeah, Randy, it would be called the NFR Still Drunk Show, not the Hangover.
Okay. I thought Jim Boy was grown up by now.
No. That's what makes it good. Heidi, I know you need to go, but I wanted to thank Randy, for coming on. I know he's busy out there. Jim Boy for getting him lined up. I appreciate it. Heidi for all you do. But I know we have a lot of fun on this show and we talk the rodeo and we talk serious and we have fun with it. But one thing I do want to just take a minute and be very serious now. And I put a comment on Facebook last night that said, I will take a world full of Rocker Steiners over Brittany Griners. And I got a little bit of heat for it, but a lot of love for it. Rocker's young. He's flamboyant. What he did wasn't right. No, but he's going to learn from it. But he respects our country. He respects his sport. He respects the history of it. And one thing is he's 100% red, white, and blue American. And that's what rodeo is compared to all the other sports. Nobody kneels. We stand for our anthem. We pray. And like I say, I'll take 100 Rocker Steiners over one Brittany Griner. So.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So my husband is now commenting on the show that it's time for me to go. So
just one last comment. So Jim Boy, since you gave me a taste of this, please invite me back next year. I'd love to participate.
Yes, we would love to have you back. We appreciate that. We're always hustling because sometimes we have to wait so people can figure out what their schedules are going to be while they're out there. So we're going to try to plan ahead a little bit better next year. We would love to have you back. What's that?
So sure we will.
Okay, I'm the planner. I'll try to plan ahead a little bit better.
There we go.
But you see what I'm working with, Randy. Come on. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Guys, no time for shout outs. Thank you guys. We will catch up in the morning and make a plan. Oh, Charla, yes. Let's go live from the stage next year. I will agree with that.
We wouldn't get Jim Boy on the stage.
There will probably be more hangovers involved if that happens, but I'm sure it will be fun and entertaining. Thank you guys so much. Hey, I want to give one last shout out. Josh and Heidi Foy, are real estate agents in the state of Wyoming. So if you guys are buying or selling and you're not in Wyoming, give us a call. We can make a referral for you. If you are buying or selling in Wyoming, give us a call. We would love to work with you. We work hard to represent the Western world, but also relationships over transactions. You guys have a good day. We'll catch you tomorrow.